What's up YouTube, this is Collect Pokemon and welcome back to another video. So in this video, we are going to revisit the Sotheby auction that was held between December 14th to December 21st. And this is one of the more rare auctions that I want to talk about because it is unlike PWCC, it is unlike eBay because it was held by a much larger auction house, Sotheby. So what I believe is that there is a very, very different market in terms of what people consider to be contemporary art and how Pokemon cards actually fit in to that category. So before we dive into it, remember to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and yeah, let's get right into it. So this auction was quite an experimental one because they actually want to auction off things such as anime print of anime cell, such as Sailor Moon, Dragon Ball Super, and they also included a few lots of trading card game. So I think out of the 130 lots, there was only like what 10, 15 that was actually trading card game lot within this auction. Now, this auction actually started off very, very slowly with not a lot of bid, especially on Pokemon cards. The Pokemon cards minimum has received, or maximum has only received 1 to 2 bids, but it was not until the final hour or so that we see all these action or these things happening where people start to auction and buy and bid more and more and more. And so how the auction ended was that all the lots were ending at different times. So basically there was around a minute or two before the ending of each auction. And so I do believe that the position of the lot do play a role in the price of some of these cards. So first of all, let's go into it. The first lot that has ended was the Scream Munch Pikachu set. This was sold for $6,420. Followed by a PSA 9 birthday Japanese Pikachu original one, which was sold for $1,764, and a ANA Japanese Flying Pikachu for $1,445. You guys can look up these prices on eBay, and we can see that the Scream Munch Pikachu set is pretty much on par with the market value. However, there isn't a lot of sales going on eBay with these sort of high-end items. Whereas your Japanese birthday Pikachu is way above market value. Being only a PSA 9, it can still fetch that $1,764 which was actually quite amazing. The ANA Flying Pikachu one, you could argue that there isn't a lot of listing on on eBay, so you could also say that it is slightly above market price for this card. The next lot is actually 3 different Charizard. The first one is the CD Promo Charizard, a PSA 10 Japanese Promo Charizard, so for $1,124. Then we have a base set Japanese Original base set Charizard, BGS 9.5 for $2,700. And the same Charizard at PSA 9 for $963. What we can see is that, yeah, Charizard does interest people, but not so much to a point where it goes into a price that is, way above what people was estimating or expecting. So these were still within that kind of expectable price range. If anything, it is much more of the lower end. However, it is still above market price because I do believe that the low estimate for the Sotheby auction is a little higher than market price already. So moving on to the next lot, this is the crazy lot where we have the Ancient Mew with the Nintendo era. So this is really weird because it's actually sold for $8,828 where you can actually go on eBay this card for $1,000 or less US. So this was definitely one of those anomalies of this auction. The Coral PSA 9 Mew was also very interesting because it had no bid at all. No one was willing to bid on this card. Maybe simply because it just doesn't look nice. Maybe people don't recognize it. I have no idea why. Maybe it's just because it is a PSA 9. We have the Mario Pikachu set, which did quite well, being sold at $5,617. $5,617. Now, This is slightly above market price because the Mario Pikachu had been hovering at that $2,000 to $3,000 range for a while, and the PSA 10 graded one has sometimes gone above 3,000, but never really seeing the 5,000 range for a while. So that is definitely a good lot. The Poncho Pikachu sets are quite interesting. We have the Team Grunt Poncho Pikachu, which actually received no bid at all. Maybe simply because no one know who Team Grunt is unless you actually play the game. We have the Charizard Poncho set selling for $3,531. The Gyarados and Magikarp, as well as the Rayquaza one, selling for $2,408. So this lot is pretty much above average as well, above market price. So that is definitely a plus. And remember, the seller of these cards are also have to give around 10% to Sotheby as the handling fees and things. And I do think that the buyer also have a 10 to 20% buyer premium on some of these lots. So the price that they have to pay is a lot higher than what the market price is. But again, we will have to see in the end what's going to happen, whether people are actually going to pay up for these lots or are they not. Because for these low value auctions, the bidder don't actually have to pay a deposit. But once we get into a larger auction, so I was told, let me get a calculator. I was told that if you were to bid something that is around 400 $400,000 USD, $400,000, you would have to put down a deposit of around $130,000. So yeah, unless a card is $400,000, that kind of range, which is pretty much a first edition Charizard, we don't know if these prices are going to be fulfilled by the bidder. So I want to dive a little deeper into understanding these kind of features or factors that I've learned from these auctions. The first thing is that overall the auction of cards is above market value. This is a good sign because I do believe that Pokemon card is more than a collectible. I do think that there is some sort of sense that people may see Pokemon card as art. And I think that, relative to all the other artwork, Pokemon cards are actually very cheap. $5,000, $10,000 compared to $120 million artwork. I think that these are just pocket change for the people who used to bid for paintings and things. So I think that there is a huge room to grow. And because of this, I do believe that there is definitely going to be a higher ceiling for many of these cards. In many of my videos, a lot of people ask whether I like to collect sealed products or I like to invest in sealed products, or do I like to invest in high-end vintage or singular cards. And the answer to that is I have both, but I do prefer investing in sealed products simply because I don't have to take the risk, and it's much easier to sell those sealed products because people have this price ceiling. People are much more comfortable in paying $100, 200 US dollar for a box of card or a set of cards than paying $10,000 or $20,000 for one graded card. It's just that not a lot of people have that flowing capital around to do such a thing. So I do think that when we introduce a lot of these TCG into the art world, I do think that it's going to push up that ceiling that people are willing to accept. And I think that we're going to have a very distinct group of people, one that do high-end collectible and art in terms of cards, whereas the other end are your player and your casual collector kind of thing. Now, two, grades matter. And I think the second thing we see is that PSA 10 cards matters a lot more. The reason why the Coral Mew, I suspect that did not get any auction or bids was that because it was a PSA 9. And, a BGS 9.5 got a much higher premium. It was like, what, $2,700 for that Charizard in comparison to a PSA 9 Charizard for $900-ish. So grade matter. And then another thing that I've spot is the uniqueness of the card. I think that, once those cards have this really good eye appeal and, it just seems unique in comparison to the same or the other lots in the same auction, it seems to be able to auction off at a much higher price. For example, the Poncho set was considered not as good because there were, we see the Charizard, we see the Rayquaza, we see the Magikarp and a Gyarados. For a lot of people, for the people who doesn't know Pokemon, they might think, hey, is this a common theme? And if it was a common theme, it is not unique enough. And if it is not unique enough, it doesn't fetch much of a higher price. So whereas, the ancient Mew card, it was very different to the regular Pokemon card. It was entirely in, black and white color. It was not black and white, but you know what I mean, that kind of color. And the Pokemon didn't look like a Pokemon. And, that might have gave the, perception to the bidder that, hey, this card is unique, this card is rare. So I think that due to the lack of knowledge in the contemporary art world with Pokemon cards, we're going to see a lot of these weird, what we find unreasonable bid. But, that's something that will adjust and will be fixed over time. Now, so the last point is that I do believe that the Pokemon card collector value the card very differently to the people in the art world. And I mean, while it is too early to see a patterns, even though I just described one, I believe that it has to do with the eye appeal. Yeah, I think I mentioned that point. So going forward, I think that more of these auctions um, will eventually take place. I believe that other auctions houses such as Christie will also take place in, take part in some of these uh, auctions. And I do think that the price discrepancy between the current so-called market value and the market value that we see, or the value we see in the auction or the contemporary art world, is going to see a much greater convergence. We're going to see the TCG market card price go up and some of the art or contemporary art value of the card to go down. But I believe that overall, I think it's a good opportunity for a lot of these TCG products or TCG cards to be introduced into the art market. And I think that it's going to take a long time, maybe 5 to 10 years, before we actually see a much more consistent price. We're going to still and continue to see discrepancy between the market value as well in terms of the market value and the auction value. And so, yeah, if there's an opportunity that you can auction off these cards, I think that there is huge opportunity in really making some money because, little Timmies that used to play Pokemon cards are now introduced to a much bigger world of contemporary art. So that's pretty much it. So quite a long video. I mean, I've planned some of the points, but some of the points I've kind of jumbled up. Hope you guys are okay with that. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think. And, are these prices crazy or like, just in general, what do you think? So that's pretty much it. Peace. This is Like Pokemon. Bye-bye.